Hey guys, greetings and salutations. This is James here at Unique Perspectives. Thought I'd make another video. I wanted to actually address the concept of the foot fetish. I feel like there's been almost I don't know, more than 6-7 months before I've actually made a video regarding this topic. And to be honest with you, it was one of the main topics that really started to grow my channel, ironically. So in a way, I always want to address this in a respectful way, but also address it because there are a lot of guys that started to connect with me based on the fact that I was addressing this in a more transparent way, but respectfully, and I feel like every guy who has a thing for feet in some way or another wants to be represented in a very appropriate way. I feel like there are a lot of ladies that are making videos about this, and people joke about us and make fun of us and all this other stuff, but I think it's important just to address it in a very respectful way. So I just wanted to address maybe 4 areas that applies to just about every foot guy one way or another that other people outside of the foot community could just keep in mind. So it's something I think these areas are just 4 essential areas just to keep in mind. They all, in my opinion, they apply to every single one of us that are on that spectrum, and so I just wanted to address them, so I guess here we go. So number 1 is, I just want to explain the spectrum. I feel like there's a lot of people that don't actually know there's a spectrum, but there is a spectrum when it comes to guys that like feet. This is how it works. On one end, you have guys that maybe to them feet are really, it kind of complements a woman's beauty. Maybe she's wearing nice shoes. Maybe he thinks she's wearing nice heels, when she's going out. But these guys at the end of this spectrum, they really see feet as they just complement a woman's beauty. The woman is already attractive. If they're attracted to the woman, her feet or her shoes or her cute socks, that just in some way adds to her beauty that she already possesses. There are a lot of guys that feet are not that essential to them. They just know that it somehow adds to the beauty of a woman. And then on the other end, some people would say it's extreme. I'm not going to say it's bad, okay? I'm not over here. Some people would say it's very troubling. I personally would not say it's bad. I think everyone has their own preferences. But on the other side of the spectrum, we have guys that they can get really excited by the idea of their wife stepping on them, kicking them even, and they can actually get aroused by some of those extreme situations, So like I said, I'm not going to judge either side because I think we all kind of have our own preferences. And even for people that don't like feet, maybe you like other stuff. But for some guys, it's something that's just very beautiful. It adds to a woman's beauty. And for some people, it's purely sexual. It's something that is, and then you have some people in the middle where it's kind of it's not an obsession. It's just kind of something that they like. So, but it's really important just to keep in mind that you have different types of people on the spectrum. And so I think what happens sometimes is you may have a guy that maybe he has a very mild case of admiring ladies with nice feet, and people will immediately start joking about it and put him in the category of some weirdo that's touching women's feet at the beach or at a park or sneaking in somebody's house, and for that guy it's not that serious. I mean, he may even massage his lady's feet from time to time, but it's not that serious. He likes it, it's okay. He doesn't get that much out of it. He just loves his lady, his woman, or he admires ladies and their beauty, but he looks at the overall beauty. It's not only about their feet. And so I think that's the issue, is that there are a lot of people that will look at that guy and say, okay, well, since I heard on the news this guy is touching women's feet at Starbucks, that must be you too. And that's not how it works, and it's the same thing with a lot of other things. You have some people that, maybe they're with their spouse and they have intimate moments with their spouse every single day, and then you have some people that maybe it's once a week. You don't want to miscategorize a person with their certain level of intensity of what you think or your personal interpretation of where they are on the spectrum when you don't actually know. Everyone is very different, and then there's different variables as well. So it's really important just to keep that in mind. Not everyone is on the same spectrum. I think it's really important just to emphasize that. Again, you have some guys on one side where they might massage feet every once in a while, and they like the cute outfits and the feet or the shoes and the right shoes and the right heels complement the overall outfit and beauty, and those are guys that like that. They appreciate that. You have more of the middle. You have guys on, I'm going to say, they take it to another level where they like to be kicked, they like to be stepped on. There's even guys that will honor their wives, and they will gift their wives all these extreme gifts just because she's stepping on them, and because that's something that they really enjoy. Now, obviously, there are people that do that stuff outside of marriage. I'm not going to address that. That's none of my business. I'm a Christian. We're going to keep this PG. But yeah, there's a spectrum basically. And so I just want to really emphasize that, because I feel like, even for myself, I've had people kind of hey, are you somebody that you just care about feet? And it's it depends on a lot of different variables. I mean, at first I have to even be attracted to the woman. So, I mean, already that sometimes is a struggle. It's finding a woman I'm actually attracted to. So it's really important just to keep that in mind. I feel like I'm laboring this a little too much, but I really want to emphasize this. This is probably the most important part of this video, in my opinion. Let's get to number 2. So number 2, I think, is sort of like what I was alluding to in the first point, but every foot guy doesn't like everyone's feet. I think that some people don't understand that. There are different preferences. There are different variables of what certain guys like. I'll give you an example. There are some guys that they do not like when a woman's feet are clean. They actually prefer a woman's feet that are dirty, okay? Now, again, I'm not going to judge that. I'm not going to say whether that's bad or good, because I think everyone is entitled to whatever they like. I personally, I do not like the idea of my wife, having dirty feet. I don't like that, okay? I like the idea of having clean feet that smell nice and they're clean and washed, but some people, they don't like that. There's some guys that actually prefer feet that are smelly. I've even heard stories, or I've read articles where there are guys that will actually request their wife to run around, for X amount of time just to get her shoes nice and sweaty prior to, their love-making session, okay? And there are some guys that are like that. They will say, hey, sweetheart, I love you very much. Can you do this one thing for me and get your feet nice and sweaty for me? Can you wear these socks for the next 5 hours for me, or 45 minutes for me, and work up a sweat? And so there are guys that think that way. Again, that's on them. I'm not here to judge that, but I'm just trying to share with you guys. Maybe this is all new to you. So everyone has different preferences. Some guys actually like feet that are smelly. Some people like feet that are dirty. Some people like big feet. Okay, I'm not a big feet type of guy. I prefer ladies with smaller feet. The smaller the better for me. Some guys prefer ladies with certain skin tones. I know there are certain guys that they only like girls with very darker complexions when it comes to their feet. That's what they gravitate towards. But when it comes to a lady with very light complexion skin, maybe somebody like white Caucasian European, that's not going to do it for them. Then there's guys that are the opposite. They like a lady with a very bright, light skin. That's something that really excites them, but they don't like a woman with dark complexion. To me, I really like more of the in the middle. I like the idea of a brown complexion, just not only with feet, but just with anybody. I really love that Pacific Islander, kind of like, I don't know, Belizean, brown skin that's kind of like in the middle. So it could be like an Asian woman, it could be black, it could be whatever, but that's my preference. I absolutely love a woman that kind of has the shade of kind of both. Now, I'm open to any culture, any skin complexion. If she loves God and I'm attracted to her and I like her feet and all that stuff, then sign me up. But yeah, I'm kind of like in the middle. I would prefer that brown skin. That really stands out to me. But everyone is very different when it comes to their preferences. And again, gentlemen, if you're into feet, you're more than welcome to comment at the bottom, correct me if I'm wrong, or share your thoughts. More than welcome. I hope this is very helpful, because I feel like some of this information is very new to a lot of people. Like, they don't really know that there's not only a spectrum, but there's preferences. Everyone does not like every woman's feet, and I want to make that very clear. There are times when I've even met a woman and she looked reasonably, attractive, and then I seen her feet and I said, not for me, and that was it. That was it. So just to finalize this point, every guy that admires ladies with nice feet, or a foot fetish guy or whatever, we don't like everyone's feet. There might be some guys that they don't have a preference. They just like feet in general, but a lot of guys, most of the guys I know and that I've encountered that may have admired ladies with nice feet, we have preferences. There's some people that won't touch a woman's feet if they're a lot older than them, So it's just, there's preferences. Number 3, I think this is a very essential point as well, and that is most guys that admire feet would not be very open or transparent about their admiration for nice feet. One of the reasons why I even say admiration for nice feet is that's my way of saying the foot fetish, but I feel like the fetish concept, it's not appropriate, but I will say it occasionally because I know that's what people understand. But I think it's important to keep in mind, most guys do not feel open about it because a lot of people misinterpret it. I think I brought this example up before, but there are cases, and a lot of them are on YouTube, there are cases where, a guy was on a college campus touching girls' feet that was sitting at a table, or there was a guy at Starbucks and he's touching women's feet. There are cases where guys have crawled inside somebody's house or apartment just to touch their feet. So the idea of working a job diligently, he's keeping himself out of trouble, he's not a drunk, he's not promiscuous, he's minding his business as a man in society, and then he says, well, hey, yes, I have a thing for feet. Well, most guys don't want to be associated with those perverts and those weird, strange people. But a lot of people, they tend to condemn guys who like feet. Now me, I'm in a very unusual case. I don't mind talking about this openly, and I know how to redirect the conversation to be more appropriate and more, humble and mature, but most guys do not have that. Most guys are not willing to talk about this. It's a secret. They don't want you to know how much they admire ladies with nice feet. It's not something that they want to be very open about. It's something that they're not comfortable talking about because the world in our society tends to shame a lot of these guys. There are a lot of ladies that do like guys who appreciate feet. So that's one thing I really want to emphasize. There are a lot of women that do appreciate the idea of getting a massage, with their husband, if he likes feet. They see it as a winner, I've encountered ladies that they would say, man, they would love to have that and wake up to that. And there are ladies that I know that have mentioned they would love to be married to someone, and after they come from work, have a man that's willing to rub their feet for them at the end of the day. That would be gold. I think personally, I think it would be to a man's advantage to be more transparent about this stuff, but at the same time, I understand our society can be very cruel towards men when it comes to our reputation and stuff like that, so I get it. Men want to be careful and cautious, but most of us are not going to advertise and be open about our admiration for feet, or even if we like a lady's feet, we're not going to just go and tell them. Some guys will say little things just to kind of see how you respond, but most guys are very cautious and careful and won't say anything unless, they absolutely are in a relationship with you, and then they might try to be open. Now, I will say that I think I've shared this already on my channel before, but one of my motivators that encouraged me to be more open about my admiration for some ladies with nice feet is I read an article or story when I was like maybe 19, 20. I was reading about different guys with different experiences of learning that was just a part of them. And one guy said that he was married to the love of his life, and he was in his marriage for about 3 years, and not once did he ever mention that he had a thing for feet. And so I just thought to myself how, wow, if anybody should know you admire their feet and appreciate them, their beauty and everything, your wife should know. And I have actually had people on multiple occasions at, my old job and even at church, one of my old churches, try to shame me or joke about my whole thing for feet. They try to actually joke around and say, oh, hey, watch out, ladies, James is here, watch out for your feet. And, I know that people like to joke and be silly and all that stuff. And to be honest with you, I was not offended because, like I said, I'm built a little differently, so I'm okay with that. But I know that most guys wouldn't be. Most guys wouldn't be. And so I'm just telling the world out here, whoever's watching this video that's not a part of this community, that for a lot of guys, this is not something that a lot of us like to be open about. It's just something that, I don't know, it's very intimate. And, for some strange reason, when guys love a woman's breast, no one really says much about that. When somebody admires a woman's backside, nobody, worries about it. Even if a guy is obsessed with just sex itself, a lot of people really don't question that. It's like, it's a joke. It's like, oh, hey, that's a nymphomaniac. He just loves sex and all this stuff, and everyone jokes about it. But yeah, as soon as you say, oh, hey, I actually like ladies with nice feet, then it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. Oh. You do? Why? And so it's a negative stigma, obviously, so I think that for a lot of us, this is not something that we share with just anybody. In fact, I'm somebody that, although I'm very open and transparent, I don't mind talking about it. I would never just go around freely sharing that side of who I am in a random conversation, and even when it comes to like a potential love interest, I would only want to share those intimate moments with somebody that I really, really like when it comes to massaging your feet and all that stuff. It would have to be with somebody I'm 100% convinced that I could marry, or I'm already married, But yeah, and to be honest, the only type of woman, for example, I would even want to explore something like that with is I would have to be convinced that this woman is already attached to my life. She's already there, not getting there, but we're already there. And I think that for a lot of us guys, we would be very selective. And this is for your typical guy. If you have options and stuff, you would want to home in on one person that you would share those moments with. But I would never touch a woman's feet that I wasn't convinced that I didn't love or I can trust. What I'm saying is that I think for a lot of us, including myself, we would want to be with just one woman to share those moments, whether it's massaging her feet or even shopping with her, finding some shoes, I just think that it's a very intimate thing. And I would not be the type of guy that I would just go around touching every woman's feet. If I'm touching a woman's feet, that's because I love the woman and I'm convinced that I can spend the rest of my life with her. Okay, that's that type of person. But it's a very intimate thing for a lot of us, so it's not something that to take lightly. And I think sometimes some people think it's something that it's taken lightly. there are some people that they don't see it as something as intimate as some of us foot guys. But yeah, I just want to emphasize that most guys will not be open about this because they know that, you know, the world that we live in, people will make fun of them, you know, and I don't know if it's just our natural sinful inclination to want to poke fun at certain things we don't understand. I don't know if it's like just to demean somebody and attack them, you know. I don't know what it is, but I know that the concept of admiring a lady with nice feet, that has always been like a negative stigma, and there are a lot of guys that just keep it under wraps because, you know, everything else is acceptable except that for some reason, so... I guess number 4 is, you know, my last point, and this is a little bit more on the psychological side, but I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can. I think for a lot of us guys who like a woman's feet, and I'm not going to say all of us, because I think there's some guys that they don't care. Like, as long as they have access to feet, they're okay. I think for a lot of us guys, a woman's feet really demonstrates what type of personality and character she has, what type of woman she is. For example, I love the idea that a woman just takes notice of her feet. She wants to make sure she removes the dead skin regularly, you know, maybe if it's every week or every 2 weeks, but she's doing something, whether it's at home or she's going somewhere. To me, I would have no issue if I was married to someone to implement that, you know, her nail salon visits in our budget. To me, I would have no issue with that because the way I see it, it's going to benefit both her and me as her husband, you know, so I have no issue with that at all. If she wants to go twice a month, I will go work extra just to make sure we have money just for that. Okay, so I have no issue with that. But I think it says a lot about the woman for a lot of us guys with the way that she carries herself when it comes to her feet, how she takes care of her feet. Is her skin soft? Like I said, does she take care of her nails? Is her soles soft? You know, is she okay with calluses? You know, I've met women that they had calluses and they don't care, and so part of me was like not as attracted to them, even though they were like a potential partner. That by itself really said, I said, no, you know, no thanks. And don't get me wrong, I think that there are a lot of guys that, you know, they fall in love with someone and they find out her feet's not all that, you know, and they will help her with that, you know. So, but I think for me, that's one of those things, that foundational pillars I would need going into a relationship. Yeah, I just really want to emphasize that for a lot of us, maybe it's a psychological thing. It's like an evaluation, like the way a woman's hands and her feet look is a reflection of just her personality and her character. And even if the woman is, you know, somebody rough around the edges, like I would still want her to take care of her nails in some way. Even if she's doing it at home and she wants to cut the cost, I think every man can respect that, but at least, you know, she should be doing something, you know. And it's the same thing with guys, you know. I think there are certain basic expectations with us guys. We want to be healthy. We want to be strong, you know. We don't want, I'm sure naturally most women want a guy that is big, strong, you know. He can take care of certain things without her help. And I think for us guys, that's sort of the same way when it comes to certain feminine traits. And so for us, the idea of just a woman taking care of her nails, her skin, it just says so much, you know. It's something that I can respect and I would want to encourage with my relationship going forward, you know. So it's something really important just to keep in mind. But I hope this was very helpful, you guys. If anybody has any thoughts, any critiques or constructive criticisms, or even if you just want to add something, please feel free to share. I would love to hear all of your thoughts. I know it's been a while since I've made a video about the foot fetish concept. I feel like it's one of those concepts that I feel like most of the people online, especially on YouTube, they don't really take very seriously. Like if you just look at all the foot fetish concept when it comes to a podcast or discussions, everyone's always making jokes about it. It's always a joke. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure, you know, we can find some funny things to talk about regarding it, but I don't know. I think for a lot of guys, we respect ourselves, we have decent personality, we have character, we're hardworking, and that's just a part of us. And so, yeah, I don't think we want that part of us to be mocked, you know? But this is James here at Unique Perspectives. If you guys want to hit me up, feel free. God bless you guys. Take care and see you on the next one. Peace.